I'm Charlotte, welcome back to my channel. So I want to share with you my 5-star reads so far this year, and I think I have around 15. I have quite a few physical books and 4 books that I read on my Kindle that are 5-star, and there is a range of books, mostly romance, I'm not going to lie, because I am a romance girly at heart. And I just want to share with you what I've rated 5 stars so far this year. I believe there's around 15 in total, which isn't bad considering we are in August. So fingers crossed in August I have more 5-star reads to share with you. But first I'm going to start off with my Kindle. I have my list here of what is on my Kindle list of 5 stars. And the first one is Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. This was, my mind has gone completely blank. This is the first book in the Lakefront Billionaire series. Remember the females, Julian and Dahlia, I think her name is, don't quote me on her name because I do not know. They grew up like next door to each other and they always had this rivalry. I want to say Dahlia. Give me a second. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Dahlia. She's in this rough relationship and she was planning on getting married. She was engaged to this guy and things didn't quite go to plan. So she ends up moving back home, doesn't tell anybody why she's moving back home or any of the reasons behind it. But her and Julian work on this plan. Her and Julian sort of come together in a way that's least expected and they work on this big plan together, and one thing leads to another, and it was just such a good read. It is a big book, don't get me wrong, it's a big book, but on Kindle you never realise how big the books actually are, which is really great because the size of some of these books scare me, so I'm glad I read it in Kindle form. We then have 2 books by H.D. Carton. That is, the first one is Satan's Affair. So this is set before the cat and mouse duet, and it is so good. I loved Sibby's side. I thought it was actually brilliant. Sibby is one of my favourite characters and I would love more of her. And then we have Where's Molly? So Molly was brought up in hunting Adeline because obviously Adeline gets taken to this house where she's like held captive before she is sold off, and Adeline finds the journals which are Molly's journals, so we now get Molly's side of the story too, and how she escaped and where she is now and how she did it. And it is such a brilliant read for anybody who loves the cat and mouse duet. Well, it's Haunting and Hunted Adeline. I suggest you read these books too because they are so good, both 5 stars. And then we have Funny Story by Emily Henry. If you have read my Emily Henry reading vlog, then you would know I absolutely love this book. Miles was a great character. I actually adored him in so many ways. And then we have Daphne, who is the female main character, and she breaks up with her fiance breaks up with her because he feels like he's in love with his best friend, but his best friend, Petra, was with Miles, so they also break up too. Daphne has no place to go, so Miles invites her in. They just act like roommates at first, there's no connection whatsoever, then just little things slide into place, and yeah, it is quite a funny story. So my first 5-star of 2024 was The First to Die at the End. This book broke my heart. It was such a great read. I don't know what Adam Silvera does. Like, what does he put in his writing? Because I swear to God, it is brilliant. And this is, I think his name's Orion and Valentino. Orion has a heart defect and everyone is expecting his day to come, like they're on edge about it, waiting for Deathcast to call, and Valentino gets the Deathcast call and he wants to be a model, and he had all these things planned, but then gets a death cast call. These Orion and Valentino meet, and let's just say there is flames between them, literally, like, they have this great connection, and yes, they are both gay, and yes, they both experience a first together, a huge first together, and it was just so cute. I really didn't want this to end. Like, it broke my heart when something happens to one of the main two, but definitely worth to read. If you've not read They Both Die at the End, then you have to read this one, and the third book is coming out. I'm not sure when, but I know there's a third book that is being released in this series, and I cannot wait for that. And obviously, I had to include Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. These were both 5-star reads for me. These were like the first fantasy type books that I read, and yes, they are pretty thick, like they are huge, and I flew through these. Iron Flame, well, Fourth Wing actually took me a few days to read because I wasn't used to the fantasy world, but Iron Flame, I read this, I must have took a full day. I got up early, started reading it, and didn't finish until I got to bed. So we have Violet, who was supposed to be a scribe, but her mum made her be a rider. And then we have Dane, who is someone she grew up with, and we have Exaden. Exaden is one of the leaders. So in Fourth Wing we have Exaden, and he was obviously in Iron Flame as well. Exaden wanted to kill Violet at first, and just because she is her mother's daughter, but Violet has struggles because she is quite a short person. She is really not built for dragon riding, but they find a way around that. They adapt, and all she knows is she will not die today. She will get through whatever struggles are in front of her, and she does, and the cliffhanger in this was brilliant. And then we have Iron Flame. So this also ends in a cliffhanger, and so much happens within this book. And I love the relationship that forms between Exaden and also between Violet, and how Dane also becomes part of helping Violet in a way. And there is just so much that got me. It just had me in a hold. I cannot wait for Onyx Storm to be released in January. I'm so excited for that book, and I will be reading it the day I get it because I have pre-ordered it, and I cannot wait. I'm so excited. Like, this series has some sort of hold on me, and I think there's about 5 books in these series, and I know they're going to be coming out over the next couple of years. And I am so grateful that I actually got to read this book and enjoyed it, because I know it's not for many people, but for me it was like one of the best things I have ever read, considering I have only been reading for about just over a year and a few months. We then have the Crimson Moth, which again is a fantasy book. This is about a witch and a witch hunter. Rune is a winch. Jesus Christ, it's been a day. Rune is a witch, and witches are not supposed to be alive. They're supposed to be banished. And then we have the witch hunter. I cannot remember his name to save the life of me. So Gideon is the witch hunter, which is Rune's best friend's brother. And Rune tries to kill Gideon. Gideon is trying to kill Rune. And Gideon has this sort of deep feeling for her, but he cannot let it show because he knows that she is the Crimson Moth, and she is killing all these people to get and saving the witches. But witches also have these silver scars from where they have to draw their own blood to make powerful spells. But Rune has a way around that. She uses her menstrual cycle. So she does not have these silver scars all over her body. And it was just such a great telling, and the next one comes out next year too. So that will be on my 25 books to read in 2025. And the last hard book that I have is Anna O. And this book wasn't what I was expecting at all. So we have Anna, who's been asleep for 4 years after being found by the sides of her two best friends that were dead. Her best friend wasn't alive, and they think that everyone thought that she'd done it. Everyone thought Anna had killed these people, but they also get this sleep psychologist in, and he has to try and wake her. Yes, she does wake, but the whole truth comes out, and it wasn't Anna who killed her best friends. And it was such a great read, and it's the last person that you expect, believe me, the last ever person you expect to be the person that unalived these people. It's absolutely great. And if you haven't read this was like my first like mystery book. It's sort of a thriller book too, it's like in between, and it was the first one I read, and it was Matthew Blake's debut novel as well, and I kind of got gifted this from TikTok, which was great, and I flew through this. I was hung on every word. I didn't want the chapters to end, even the longer ones, because there is some long ones, there is some short ones, but Anna O is such a great read. It says, not since the night she was found in a deep sleep by the bodies of her best friends suspected of chilling double murder. For Dr. Benedict Prince, a forensic psychologist of London Harley Street's waking Anna O could be a career defining. As an expert in sleep, he knows all about the darkest chambers of the mind and the secrets that lie buried in the subconscious. As he begins Anna O's treatment, studying his patient's dreams, combing her memories, visiting the site where the horrors played out, he pulls on the threads of a much deeper, darker secret. Awakening Anna O isn't the end of the story, it's just the beginning. And believe me, it really is just the beginning, because there is so much that keeps you gripped in this book. There's so many twists and turns that you cannot put it down. It's like one of them books you can read in one sitting if you want, but when you put it down, you're always wondering what's going to happen next. And then we have a stack of paperback books, and there is not many. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paperback books, and I've realised this is quite fantasy heavy, considering I'm not a big fantasy reader, so you never know, that might change this year and next year. We have Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This book, the spicy bits in it were brilliant, and according to someone I know who went to a meet and greet, she is writing a book 2 for Bride. So fingers crossed that it's actually happening, because the ending of this makes me think there will be a book 2. So Misery is the only daughter of the most powerful vampire there is. He's a powerful councilman. And we have Lo, who is a werewolf. He is ruthless and unpredictable, and Lo is the alpha of the pack. These two are put together to form a harmony, but Lo soon finds out that Misery is actually his mate, even though no one knows if vampires and werewolves can actually be mates in this case. But there is actually a plot to this, and it is brilliant. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but the knotting scene, if you've read this, you know what I mean. That knotting scene is whoa. I was actually enjoying it a lot more than I should. It was so good, and I cannot wait for it. If it's book 2, it's going to be brilliant. We then have King of Greed. So this is Dominic Davenport and Alessandra. So these two are married, but they are having problems with their marriage because Dominic always puts work first. So Alessandra asks for a divorce, but Dominic does everything in his power to get her back. He does so much to win her back, and they finally come together, and they finally have the happy ending that they deserve. And it is just so nice to see, like, even if you are struggling, there's always a way out, and you have to face these problems head on, and that's what Alessandra does. She puts her foot down. She will not break, but obviously she does break towards the end, because if you've read it, you all know what happens. And then we have 2 books by Lauren Nolan, I think, and that's If He Had Been With Me and If Only I Had Told Her. If He Had Been With Me made me sob. As much as I loved it, I was crying. I can remember I listened to it. This was the only book I've actually... Sorry. This is the only book I have actually listened to. I listened to it on Spotify. And Finn and Autumn grow up together. They live next door. Their mums are best friends. And then they start, I want to say high school or something, and they grow apart, but Finn always has Autumn's back. And then something happens to Autumn. She gets really sad and a bit depressed, and Finn comes round to try and get her out of it, and them two grow close again. But then something happens to Finn that nobody was expecting, and then we also find out that something happens to Autumn, which means there is a part of Finn and a part of Autumn that will always be left. And then we have, this is from 3 different points of views. This is Finn, Autumn and Jack, which is Finn's best friend. Jack didn't have good feelings about Autumn to begin with. He always thought Autumn was playing with Finn's feelings, but both of them didn't realise that the feelings were replicated. Is that the right word? They both had the feelings, but none of them told each other about these feelings until it was a bit too late. But then one night changed everything, and that would have been the last night with them both. And honestly, these books, as much as I loved them, they made me so emotional. I don't think I could ever reread these books, because I don't want to be that sad again. Like, even thinking about it now, I'm getting emotional because I know what happens, and I know they're only kids in this book, like, they're 17, and I'm just like, okay, that shouldn't ever happen to a 17-year-old, but absolutely great, and I cannot put anything above these at the minute, because these emotionally got to me. These actually made me feel some emotion. And if you've been on antidepressants and stuff like, sometimes they make you lose your emotions, and these actually made me feel something, and it was just amazing, and I can never get over these books. The emotions these brought to me was just unreal. And then we have Leather and Lark. So this one is between Lachlan and Lark. Lachlan is a serial killer for hire. Lark is a multiple deleter in her own right. And there is a marriage of convenience, there is spice, there is unaliving, there is so much that goes on, and we get to hear about Rowan and Sloane too. And book 3 is coming out, I think, February next year, so fingers crossed that's a 5-star read too. But this, just amazing. I wouldn't say it's dark, but it's dark-ish, because obviously there's unaliving, and there is mentions of SA from when when Lark was in a certain school with Sloane, and that's how Lark and Sloane become friends. But yeah, this is so great. Like it says on the back, Lark may seem like sunshine personified, but she has her own secrets hiding in the shadows. With her family in a tailspin and her best friend's happiness on the line, she makes a vow to a man she's determined to hate, no matter how tempting the brooding assassin may be. But it's not just familiar danger that haunts them. There's another phantom lurking on the doorstep, and this one has come for blood. Wow. Spot on. Such an amazing read. And then we have an F1 romance. I'm not quite sure if it's the first F1 romance that I've read. I'm trying to think what I've read. Give me a second, I'll check my book. My trusty little book with all that I've read in. No, Bloodstream was the first F1 book that I read. And then we have this, Cross the Line by Simone Soltani. This is between Dev and Willow, and I want to say Dev is her brother's best friend. They all grew up together, and Willow is hired to help Dev with his reputation, I think. Yeah, Dev Anderson's career is on the line. He needs help to save his image because he is a party boy and he needed the help. Willow is a social media expert, but she also needs some work experience to help her land the job of her dreams. And Dev gives her that experience that she needs, and with spending so much time in close proximity, they end up liking each other. But they have liked each other for a while, and it is so great, so cute, and obviously the sprayed edges play a part in this. So that is the end of my 5-star reads so far in 2024. Fingers crossed we have some more great reads for the rest of 2024, as there is only a few months left. And I know this is probably dragged on, and I apologise. I'm so sorry. I'm going to try my best to get better at filming, but I'm still not very confident in front of this camera, and I'm trying to find time to film when my kids are also in bed, which is very hard because you can probably hear my kids screaming right now. So thank you for watching, and I shall see you soon with a brand new video. Bye!